You know why they really desegregated the schools? Because black people in those underfunded, dilapidated one-room schoolhouses in the ghetto were turning out better educated students than the white folks was turning out in the rich upper-class private schools. See, let us be clear now. We invented the gas mask before we could sit next to white kids. Right. We invented the stoplight before we could sit next to white kids. We invented the refrigerated truck before we could sit next to white kids. The golf tee before we could sit next to white kids. We invented the machine to tie the sole of a shoe to the top of a shoe before we could sit next to white kids. Most of America's most significant inventions came out of the minds of black children who had never sat next to white kids. The reason they wanted to desegregate was to control the quality of the education because America considered the intellectual brilliance of the black child to be a national security issue. So they integrated the schools to dumb you down. And that's why 20 years after school desegregation, they popped up with the learning disability, special education.
If you're still committed to being a racist in America, it sucks for you because you're going to have to give up your smartphone. That's right. A lot of the crucial technology that went into the development of the smartphone was created by black Americans, and many of them attended historically black colleges and universities.
Hi guys, welcome back to our channel. In case you're new here, my name is Maren.
And I'm Maureen.
Right, so in today's episode, you're going to be reacting to videos of white people finding out or realizing the inventions and contributions black people brought in America. Furthermore, we're going to be asking a question, yeah? Do you think desegregation was one of the biggest setup black Americans ever went through? Because for some people, they argued that they would have been okay if they were given equal treatment, like for example, equal funding to their institutions without necessarily segregating with white people. You understand what I'm saying?
Right.
But for some people, they do say that segregation was necessary in order to achieve equal treatment.
Right. So guys, let's watch what we prepared for you today and then you come back and talk about it. You can also let us know what you think about this episode down on the comment section and consider subscribing if you're new to our channel. Let's watch.
I'm Kylie, and here are 3 black inventions that white people have essentially taken credit for. Number 1, country music. Country music was actually created in the American South that was primarily black freedmen. It's a blend of Anglo-Celtic folk tunes as well as blues and spirituals that evolved. And now, as you can see, if you look at the country music artist chart, it is almost entirely white musicians that have co-opted this genre and have actually created a racist genre that black people aren't part of really anymore. Number 2, the potato chip. We all know that white people love potato chips, but actually it was invented by George Crumb. They were invented in 1853 in New York after a customer complained that his french fries were too thick, so he made the potato chip. Now this has become a staple of like the white American barbecue. You always have potato chips, you have burgers, and of course this was a black invention. Number 3, everybody uses this, but the doorknob. While this isn't a cultural thing, it is an invention that has improved the lives of basically everybody. His name is Osborne Dorsey, and he is the person who patented this design. He was born into slavery, and no thanks to white people, he was able to create this invention that has pretty much revolutionized the way that people move through the world. If you know of any other inventions, drop it in the comments. I'm gonna make this a series. Bye!
I want you to imagine a little black girl in the 1920s. Not the ones from the books that you may have seen. Not the polite history teachers have to paint. I mean like a real black child. Living under Jim Crow. Bones aching, body hurting, and already learning that the world that she was born into wasn't built to keep her alive. Bessie Blount was that child. When she was a kid, she broke her collarbone. And the hospital staff treated her like she wasn't even worth the bandages. She was in pain, real pain, and nobody cared enough to help her heal. So she taught herself. With her feet, with her mouth, with whatever part of her body she could still control. Not because she wanted to, but because segregation forced her to become her own medical system. A child reinvented her own body because the world refused to treat her like she had one. That's the beginning of her story. Not the patents, not the inventions, not the genius. The neglect. After World War II, veterans came home with limbs missing, nerves destroyed, and bodies mangled. Men that this country trained for war and discarded as soon as the war ended. And Bessie walked into those veterans' hospitals like, if nobody saved me, I'm going to save you. She taught amputees how to write again, taught paralyzed men how to eat without waiting for a nurse, taught men who couldn't lift a hand how to lift their dignity. And when she realized the tools they needed didn't exist, she built them. Adaptive utensils, writing devices, a feeding machine that allowed people with no mobility to feed themselves, The first time a paralyzed veteran fed himself was because a Black woman that refused to believe that disability meant helplessness. She gave men their lives back, one invention at a time. But the U.S. Army told her that they didn't need her feeding device. They said no, they dismissed her, they turned her away. And then, years later, the same government started using similar technology without her name mentioned anywhere. They didn't just erase her. They recycled her brilliance and handed it to somebody with the right skin. Imagine inventing something to help dying veterans and watching the country that ignored your childhood injury ignore your adulthood genius with the same exact silence. She never escaped the disrespect, it just changed outfits. And even then, she didn't stop reinventing herself. She became a forensic handwriting expert, one of the best in the nation, because the girl that wrote with her feet grew into a woman who could see what other people's eyes weren't trained to catch. Police, detectives, attorneys, they all called her when the truth was hiding in the ink. She rebuilt herself over and over again, because this country refused to build anything for her. She wasn't lucky, she was exceptional. She was determined in a world that tried to starve the determination out of her. So say her name and say it with the weight that it deserves. Say Bessie Blount knowing that she saved people that this country couldn't be bothered to save. Say it knowing that she healed men whose government abandoned them. Say it knowing she built devices that they stole. Say it knowing she fought for dignity in a system that treated her as disposable. Say it because if she were white, she would have been in every textbook, every hospital wing, every medical hall of fame. Say it because she deserved a nation behind her. And instead she had to build herself from the damage the nation caused. Say Bessie Blount because remembering her is the least that this country owes her. Say her name, Bessie Blount.
If you're still committed to being a racist in America, it sucks for you because you're going to have to give up your smartphone. That's right. A lot of the crucial technology that went into the development of the smartphone was created by Black Americans, and many of them attended historically Black colleges and universities. We'll start with James West, a Hampton University graduate who invented and patented microphone foilet technology, which is used in over 90% of microphones to this day. And the powerhouse, Dr. Shirley Jackson, who got her bachelor's, master's, and PhD in physics from MIT, the first Black American woman to do so. Her work and research led directly to the creation of touch-tone telephones, fiber optics, call waiting, and caller ID, so you don't miss any calls when you're out burning crosses. Mark Hanna advanced 3D graphic technology to the point it's used in everything with a screen, from everything from movies to games that you play on your phone. And Dr. Gladys West, a brilliant mathematician from Virginia State University who helped to figure out the geodetic effect on the Earth, which helped us to enable pinpoint accuracy with GPS. Dr. Valerie Thomas, a hidden figure you've never heard of from Morgan State University, who was so brilliant she helped teach the NASA scientists how to interpret and compute satellite data from the Landsat satellite program, which she headed. She also patented the illusion transmitter, which we know is 3D imaging and is used on just about every screen there is today. Lisa Golofter, one of the most well-known Black American female tech leaders in the world. Her and her team are the ones that came up with the animated GIFs that you love to send to your friends. And Mark Dean, one of the chief architects of the first gigahertz computer chip, the first IBM PC, the color monitor, and the industry standard architecture system, aka the ISA. And the OG of them all, Jesse Eugene Russell, a Tennessee State University graduate who led the team at AT&T to create digital wireless networks, taking us out of the radio and analog age into the digital. It's how we use mobile data to this day. And since we know that racists are never hypocrites, we're going to set up drop-off bins in your town where you can drop off these smartphones that there's no way that you can use anymore, so we can give them to people who can appreciate the men and women who created the technology behind them. Have a great day.
Now that you're older, it's time to tell you, Thomas Edison did not invent the light bulb, just like he didn't invent the electric chair. He just hired people to make them better. Now, why am I telling you all this? So you can understand the world a little bit better. Listen to this. See, usually when someone invents something, a businessman will buy that invention from them, or they'll pay them to invent something. See, Thomas Edison was that person, and he became very rich because of it. But see, Edison had a problem, and his problem's name was Tesla. Hold the Elon. See, Tesla, that boy was a bona fide genius. That boy could invent, See, Edison noticed one day that some of his patents, which basically means you own an invention and no one can sell it, that's important, weren't making as much money. Edison said, "What is going on with my stacks?" His assistant walked in and said, "Hey, you remember that boy Tesla?" Edison said, is his first name Money? His assistant said, no, I don't think so. Edison said, to speak faster. His assistant said, my fault. See, that boy Tesla is inventing for another company. People are buying that stuff and it's making you broke. Edison said, watch your mouth. Broke is a bad word around these parts. Second of all, let's get to the bottom of this. But see, it was a little more complicated than that. Tesla didn't just invent something better. He invented a better way to use electricity. But I'm a liar because it's a little more complicated than that. Listen to me. Electricity zaps things. But for it to zap things, little particles called electrons got to move. When the electrons move straight, it's called DC. When the electrons move like that, it's called AC. Tesla's like, yo, with AC, we powering things crazy good. Edison's like, you right, but I sell stuff using DC. Tesla's like, but the world's gonna be a better place with AC. Edison said, that's true. Yo, everybody, AC sucks. Everybody said, nah, with DC, I was getting power outages. With AC, everything's good. Edison said, well, do you like dogs? So he makes an electric chair and starts zizzing dogs. He said, I just use AC for that. So AC must be dangerous. Use DC. Now, this sounds insane, right? Well, I'm not finished. He then takes an elephant, zizzes it, makes a movie, calls it Zizzing an Elephant, distributes it, and says, say no to AC. But it wasn't working. AC, Tesla's thing, was just better and everyone knew it. So Edison steps it up a notch. Remember, he's really good at hiring people to invent things. So he secretly hires somebody to make the electric power chair better. Uses Tesla's thing, AC, and says, yo, they think people with Tesla's thing, come buy my DC stuff. And the sad part is, this is how your world works today. There have been many possible world-changing inventions that big companies suppress, so you can buy from them. At this point, Tesla had enough. So he straps himself to a chair and zzz himself with 250,000 volts and makes it out fine. And says, nah, AC works well. Edison said, damn. So AC becomes the most widely used electric thing in the world. It powers your house and a bunch of other things. Now here's where it starts to get wicked. This was low-key the most diabolical get back of all time. See, Tesla used to work for Edison. Remember I told you, Edison hired inventors. Now Tesla was going crazy making things for Edison. One day they run into each other because Tesla was a gym rat. He was working late at night on something. Edison was like, damn, okay. Edison said, what's your name, son? He said, my name Tesla, hold the Elon. Edison said, word. Hey, give this boy more money. Give him a raise. Tesla's manager said, got it, but is he really like that though? If you can invent this super crazy item, I'll give you $50,000. Tesla said, I just finished it. Tesla said, where's my $50,000? The manager said, I was joking. Tesla said, Edison, your manager's scamming. Edison said, how much he owe you? Tesla said, $50,000. Edison said, do you know how much $50,000 is in 19 whatever this is? Nah, Tesla, you're gonna have to make that. To be fair, he could have been joking. No one knows how this actually transpired. But regardless, Tesla quits and says, I'm finna start my own company, and he does. But he doesn't make a lot of money because he may be a genius, but he's not a ruthless businessman like Edison was. So to make money, he works for another company, and that's when he does the whole AC thing. And that company owned the patent, remember that word, for his AC thing. But Tesla was okay with this. In fact, he invented so many more things for that company that the company went broke trying to pay him. So he tells the company to pay him a lot less, and he continues to help them out. This makes him go broke. And I know that sounds insane to you, but maybe this will help you understand Tesla a little bit more. Even though he was broke, he spent thousands of dollars on an invention to help a pigeon fly again. Why? Because he said he liked the pigeon. A man of passion. He also gambled away a lot of his money, but I like the first story.
If you're really committed to being a racist in this country, you can't unsee what I'm about to show you. You might want to start checking Amazons for blankets, because this gas furnace behind me, you don't get to have one of those either, because that was invented by a black woman named Alice Parker around 1920. She received a patent on it. Yeah, that's how we stay warm today. I mean, if you love potato chips, they gotta go, because a man named George Crumb, a chef in New York, had sent French fries out with a meal and a customer complained. So what did Mr. Crumb do? He sliced potatoes so thin, fried them up, dumped a bunch of salt on them, and sent them out. And that is the American delight of potato chips. They gotta go. Here in the bathroom, Lotta Newman patented the first hairbrush with synthetic bristles in 1898. And she's just the third Black American woman to ever receive a patent. Now, I know this isn't going to affect those skinheads very much. In 1892,
George Sampson of Dayton, Ohio received patent number 476,416 for what is the forerunner of the modern dryer we use today. It's going to suck drying your clothes outside. In the late 1880s, Samuel Scotron of Pennsylvania patented the curtain rod. Ooh, let's go piss off some white girls. It's going to be really hard to plan racist rallies without a color monitor. Invented by Mark Dean, an engineer at IBM, he is also on 3 of the original 9 patents of the IBM PC that came out in 1981. Did you know in 1897, Albert Crowell in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, developed the mechanized ice cream scoop? You know, the click, click that separates the ice cream from the spoon, changing the way ice cream is served. And if you're racist and an ice cream lover, it's going to get worse. I told you it's going to get worse. Augustus Jackson, the father of ice cream, pioneered many of the methods we have today to enjoy ice cream, including the way we salt it. Another thing about being a racist, you're going to have to give up the freezer and frozen foods, because Frederick McKinley Jones of Ohio, who was orphaned at 9 years old with a 6th grade education, a young biracial boy, grew up to invent Thermo King, which is the reason why we have frozen foods that are shipped and stored in stores and our homes. You got to give up ice cream and frozen pieces? So if you still want to be a racist, there are some things you're going to need to purge from your life. If you would, just put it out on the curb. I'll send some trucks around to pick it up, and we'll go give it to real Americans who really need it.
Black people also invented GPS, technically navigation, ambulances, Wi-Fi, the baby buggy, home security systems, ranch dressing, super soakers, 3D movies, over 300 uses for the peanut. Let that sink in. 300 inventions on a peanut. Flour, paste, insulation, wallboard, wood stains, soap, shaving cream, lotion, blood transfusions, elevator doors, maxi pads, the modern air conditioner, Nerf guns, spatulas, your literal cell phone that you're watching this on, ironing boards, laser eye surgery, the folding chair, shout out to Alabama, country and rock music, I know that one stings, the modern toilet, the golf tee, keychains, cash register, shoe soles, VR gaming systems, adjustable wrenches, the rotary engine.
I actually did not know anything about Black women inventors, but I do now. Marie Van Britten Brown invented the home security system because in 1966 she was like, I live in America. Alice Ball cured leprosy. Then a white man took the credit, of course. Dr. Patricia Bath invented a laser tool to remove cataracts. She was also the first Black female physician to receive a medical patent. Mary Beatrice Davidson Kenner invented the sanitary belt, which later became the pad, and companies literally rejected her because she was Black. Marjorie Joyner made the permanent wave machine. It helped Black women, it helped white women, and then it helped the world. Did she get rich? Absolutely not. Sarah Boone created the modern ironing board. She was born enslaved, and before Sarah, people only used planks. Valerie Thomas invented a 3D illusion transmitter. It's used for medical imaging and television. She worked at NASA, and they still use her technology today. Dr. Shirley Jackson worked on caller ID, call waiting, and touch-tone phones, so you could ignore people more efficiently. She was also the first Black woman to earn a doctorate from MIT. Sarah Good invented the fold-out bed. It used to transform into a desk. She was the first African-American woman to receive a U.S. patent. Marion Croak developed voice-over internet protocol. She literally made the internet talk. She holds 200 patents, and I hold grudges. Thank you.
Black people have contributed nothing to America. This is the most insane, asinine take anyone could have, and it proves the point that I say that you are socialized to believe that you're here and we're there, when that's just not the case. So let's go through some inventions of what you use and what I use every day that was invented by Black people. The traffic light was invented by Garrett Morgan. Gladys West, she contributed to the mathematical modeling of the Earth that is essential for GPS. Color computer monitors were invented by Mark Dean. The folding chair, portable hair straightener, which women use every day, was invented by Marjorie Stewart Joyner. The electric microphone was co-created by James West. X-ray imaging was done by James E. Alcorn. Mops that you clean your kitchen up with were invented by Thomas B. Stewart. The fire extinguisher was invented by Thomas J. Martin. Modern day ice cream was invented by Augustus Jackson, the new recipe that's used today. The cell phone was co-created by Jesse Russell. George Crumb invented potato chips. The improved current state of the ironing board was done by Sarah Boone, who was the first black woman to have a patent in America. Gene Matzlager invented the shoe lasting machine. Before him, even the best shoemaker could only make 50 shoes a day. Post him, 700 shoes a day. Philip B. Downing invented the mailbox that we all use daily. The doorknob was invented by Osborne Dorney. Lewis Latimer is the reason we have lights that last longer than 2 hours. Before him, lights went out, but he invented the carbon filament for the long-lasting light bulb. Mechanized dough roller and the kitchen mixer, you know, the KitchenAid, was invented by Judy W. Reed. Laser cataract surgery, so we all could see, was done by Patricia Bath. Shirley Ann Jackson invented the portable fax machine, touch-tone telephones, call waiting, caller ID, and fiber optic cables. Pretty sure you're watching this video because of fiber optic cables. So before you say things like black people don't contribute anything to this country or to this world because your feelings were hurt because I mentioned a few things about white history, think again. Educate yourself. All right, bye-bye.
So guys, welcome back. Let us know what you think about this episode that we just played here. You know, there's nothing worse than a racist white person learning about black inventions. That is something they cannot take, and that is something they do not want to believe, no matter the facts you bring forward, right? That being said, it's quite interesting to hear people's theories about segregation ending because white people wanted to didn't want to allow black people to shine here. There's something that Dr. Umar mentioned about how the black brilliance of the black pupils was considered a national threat. And guys, do you believe that statement to be true?
Right, because from the clips that Dr. Umar showed us, black Americans were doing the most with the little resources they had, right? So imagine if they were presented with a world where opportunities were very equal without any sort of discrimination whatsoever, right? Because in as much as people might argue that yes, segregation was achieved because number one, black Americans started fighting for their rights after slavery, and that is the reason why segregation ended. You can also say white Americans were so hell-bent on not letting black Americans into their own spaces. So it doesn't really, it is not far-fetched for people to think that they finally agreed black people to go into their spaces because they wanted to keep them close and monitor the inner workings of their brains.
Right. Another thing I have to say is that black Americans are very resilient, and out of necessity, they had to come up with ways to help them move forward or to help their lives, right? I do remember one of our speakers, Ashley the Baroness, talking about the black lady who got into disability and was trying to seek help from white hospitals, and she was denied. They simply just did not care, and she started finding ways to live with as a person with disabilities, and this help she gave it to also white people, white soldiers who came back home wounded. And furthermore, she came up with a system or something to help them feed themselves with their disability, and the government refused to adapt it, only for them to let a little time pass and then for them to come up with a similar structure and not even give the lady credit or the credit that was due. And this is where you say there's a reason why a lot of white kids don't know about black inventions and contributions into America. It's simply because they took some of these inventions and completely wiped the identity of the black people who had a hand in them completely off the chart. They are unknown, and because the white man or their structure of the racist person decided that they will not teach about the greatness of the black community, then they would rather change the history of it in order for it to look like it comes from somebody who has an acceptable skin.
Right. Over and above, guys, the really important question to ask is, if right now systems were put in place whereby the real and true history of America and whoever was involved in this history, both black, brown, and white people, should it be written right now to its accuracy? Do you think it would take a shorter time for white babies and white people to relearn their history, or do you think that it would take a longer time because of the elements in the white community that exist that do not want to accept the facts? No matter how many factual items are put in front of them, they will never accept it because of racism.
Right. And also, guys, I do want to believe that it's normal for every person to look at a competitor and want to equalize what the competitor is doing, meaning you will do whatever necessary to make sure that you know what they're up to make sure that you counter what they do in order for you to come up on top and in order for you to become the best. That being said, do you really believe that desegregation was a scam for the Black American communities? And do you believe that Black Americans would have been well if they were left to flourish on their own, and also if white Americans were just left on their own, but equal funding went to both communities?
That's a very interesting question to think about, right? Because on one hand, I do believe that actually desegregation was a good thing because both communities got to learn from each other, especially those who are genuine about learning from one another, you know, and helping one another. Because in as much as there are bad people in the white community, not all white people are bad. You get what I'm saying?
A drop in the ocean.
In the same way, in as much as there are good people in the Black community, not all people are good people, you get. So I do believe in one hand it was a positive thing because both communities got to learn genuinely from each other what they wouldn't otherwise if desegregation hadn't happened, right? But then on the other hand, the only disadvantage about this thing is that when Black people were existing on their own, they were able to build things like Black Wall Street and whatnot, you know, things that we Africans didn't know up until much later when we started looking for this information, is when we realized that Black America was once successful. And this is the reason why in movies we started loving Taylor Perry movies, because for the first time in a long time while growing up, we could see Black success in Taylor Perry movies, you know. And that being said, so I do believe that desegregation holds a 50-50 impact in the American
not really
50-50.
It can't be 50-50, but anyway, guys, let us know. In terms
of positive and negative, it has both positive and negative.
Yeah, but it can't be 50-50. But guys, let us know what you think about this on the comment section. Also, consider subscribing if it's your first time here. As usual, Lona, thank you so much for always tuning in. Let's catch you on our next episode.